So next up, we've got one about plant pass, and no, it's not a day pass for people to go and plant their naughty plants or whatever that might be. We're talking about the plant pass scheme. So Danielle Hancock from Far Sky Consulting is going to be presenting on plant pass group schemes for community nurseries. Danielle.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hi, yes, I'm Danielle Hancock from Far Sky Consulting. I've had a number of years in the biosecurity area, but just gone out on my own, and I've become involved with Plant Pass from its inception. It's been running for a number of years, and I really believe in this program, and so I want to talk to you today about a potentially little known component of Plant Pass, which is a group scheme where a community of nurseries come together to become certified. And I just want to acknowledge also Shelley in the room from Plant Pass, who also might be able to answer some questions if I can't. So, Plant Pass. How many people here have heard of Plant Pass and know about it? Excellent. So to summarise, it's a biosecurity program for plant producers, and you can become certified and standardised in your core practices for biosecurity best practice. And it's great for businesses of a range of plant producing types. Plant Pass has started as a GIA construct, so government industry agreement, that's right. And so these are all the members of the GIA that are coming together to work on Plant Pass, and Shelley's part of the Plant Pass team, so they're developing this program as we go. Also, the reason that Far Sky is involved in this is there's a Plant Pass Partners program. So we don't produce plants, but we're involved in Plant Pass. We're plant buyers. And so a part of this is that we're also involved in advocacy and getting the message out there and getting more people engaged with Plant Pass and hopefully lifting biosecurity practices in the nursery industry. So what's some of the basics? When you engage with Plant Pass, you are given some core standards. There's some hazard checklists, and you work through with your nursery, seeing whether you can come up to the Plant Pass standards. You register your nursery, and you are given some time to get your nursery up to speed, and you're given guidance, full support through that process. Then when you're ready, you call for an audit, and you're audited, and you'll be either certified or being asked to come up to speed a little bit more before you can get your certificate. So a group scheme works in a similar way, but they follow a slightly different pathway, and group scheme members are called participants. So how does a group scheme differ from a normal membership as a Plant Pass certified nursery? Well, first you have a group scheme owner, and this must be a legal entity. So it could be a regional council, it could be some kind of an incorporated society, something like that. It has to be some kind of legal entity. They own or hold the certificate on behalf of the participants. There's also a group scheme manager. This is somebody or some people that help the nurseries, the participants, to come up to speed, do their annual internal audits, work through their core standards, get themselves ready for their final audits to become group scheme registered. So why groups? Why should we do this? Well, if you look at the statistics around launching a program like this, if we didn't have anything out there and it was all organic uptake, we'd get maybe 20% participation in this across the industry. If councils and buyers made it mandatory that all nurseries had to be Plant Pass certified, you'd probably get 60%, 66% uptake. But MPI needs more than that for this program to be efficient and effective. So if we can come together with these group schemes and roll these across, we get those peripheral nurseries that struggle to do this work, and we should get around 80% uptake. And so that's the driver behind this type of model. So why is this good for community nurseries? Well, part of the good things about group schemes are you're saving costs. So these nurseries come together under one certificate, and they're sharing the costs of the audits and the programs and the core standards and the knowledge and the networking. It's building a community of like-minded nurseries that have similar purposes. And so the nurseries are lifting their own skills together as a group. Through that, they're getting access to expertise and the capacity building through that group scheme manager and through their own knowledge and networking that they undertake. And because there's a core standard that all of them use, they don't have to create everything from scratch for themselves. And so there's a reduction in overall documentation right across the group of nurseries. There's also some benefits out there that these community nurseries can uptake straight away. So for a small nursery, particularly that works with volunteers with limited resources, it can be really challenging to meet the core standards and provide all the tracking and tracing documentation that they need. They're running on volunteers that have a lack of time and funds. Community nurseries collaborate already, so a group scheme actually works for them. There's nothing much to change. They get access to advice and training through that network and through the group scheme owner. And it allows even the smallest nurseries to participate and get a plant pass certification, which they can then use when they're selling plants across the market. And we have this nursery biosecurity guide, Puka Haumaru Koiora, which is a really good quality management system as a basis for these community nurseries, and then we can just change it to suit the group that is coming together. So how does a group scheme work? All right, so the first thing is all the nurseries must have a common purpose. So that could be all native plant nurseries in the Taranaki. They have a selling agreement which they develop together. So that could be something like the community native plant nurseries selling to the Horizon Regional Council, to DOC and NZTA. They all must agree to meet the buyer standards. So whoever their buyers are, whatever the procurement requirements are, all these nurseries within the group would agree that they will meet those standards collectively. The group scheme owner holds the certificate, not the individual nurseries. The group scheme manager develops the quality management system. So that could be a department of the council. It could be an external contractor, somebody that's working with you. And that group scheme manager supports those nurseries to maintain compliance in auditing off years. And the group scheme participants may only use their certificate when they're selling to the agreed buyers. So an individual nursery can't step off to the side and go, well, I've got a group scheme certificate and I'm going to sell to somebody that the rest of the group hasn't agreed to. So it's a collective selling, a collective agreement between them all. There's some financial benefits to be gained by forming a group. So if you're an individual nursery, you will pay $250 to join the program. As a group, the group pays $250. So that can be spread across the total number of participants in the group. There's an annual audit fee. So on average, that might be $940 plus travel for the individual nursery. But for the group, those costs can be split across all of the members of that group. The audit frequencies are slightly different. So as an individual nursery, you'll be audited annually until you have 2 consecutive complying audits, and after that it moves to every 3 years. As a group, you'll get audited annually, but only a sample of the group equivalent to the square root of the number of group participants. So if you had 9 members in the group, only 3 of those would be audited annually. And so that number of participants, the cost of those 3, if you like, gets split across the 9. So at every level of the group scheme, the costs incurred are split across the group. But it doesn't come without some challenges. So, as I talked about before, the nurseries can't take their certificate number and use it outside the group. It's got to remain within the group parameters of their selling agreement. One failed audit does lead to a non-conformance, but just for that nursery. It doesn't mean that the whole group has failed, which is really good. So there's some robustness in the program. If there's an unresolved non-conformance, it's going to require the group to come around and support that person, but that's the benefit of it as well. It does require an internal auditor to help coordinate the participant standards. So that's that management level in the middle, that support system. So that is an extra cost, if you like, but depending on how it's structured, of course, that's split across all of the members. To become financially viable, you do need at least 6 members to make this work. But as a community nurseries. There's often a lot more than that operate within a region, and so it's definitely possible. The level of compliance can be putting off for the smaller guys. So the little nurseries that are managed by 3 volunteers that grow 2,000 plants a year to plant in their local reserve, this sort of thing can be really challenging and really confronting. But it is possible to work through it and come up with a solution. They could still be a part of a group scheme and get a plant pass certificate and be able to meet the council's requirements. So there are some things that are driving this. There are changes to the Biosecurity Act that are underway. So we've been advised that MPI is looking to provide councils with more power, so that councils through their RPMPs could mandate plant pass and make it a requirement of their procurement teams. And councils are under more pressure through MPI regulations to manage biosecurity risks. So if councils take this up and support their community nurseries to become group schemes, this would be a win-win on both sides. Plant health is a priority. We've had the myrtle rusts come through and the Cody dieback, and it's costing us a lot of money, and coming together, encouraging these nurseries to get better at their tracking and tracing and managing their paperwork is beneficial for everybody. We need to make sure that our biodiversity is protected across the country, and especially as we've talked about today, so much influence from climate change is coming. So what are we working on? I've had the pleasure of working with Auckland Council, and we have done a small research trial with community nurseries in the Auckland region. And we held some workshops, and I went out to 7 nurseries of a different range depending on 250,000 plants per year, and quite organised, down to 2,000 plants per year, and did a bit of a gap analysis across all of those, looking through these hazard checklists and going, where are your gaps? What have you got in place? What haven't you got in place? How hard would it be to meet the plant pass standards? And could we form a group for these nurseries? And we got some really good feedback. And then we've met with Shelley and the team at Plant Pass, and that's helped shape the future of group schemes and how we can roll them out. We're also working with Amy at Waikato Regional Council. We're about to start something later this year, where we'll be looking at a geographically limited number of community nurseries and getting a kind of a pilot group scheme going. And again, we'll look at how easy is that going to be? What are the challenges? How can we overcome those? What would the costs be to get that off the ground? And we're continually meeting with Plant Pass and the team and looking at how we can make improvements. So the next steps with Auckland Council as well is they've now decided on a model of how they would run group schemes, and they've got some ideas, and so they're working through with their internal teams about how they would run that. And so that is what I've got. Thank you.
Any questions for Danielle? Abby?
Just wondering what the timeline is on this in terms of the nurseries being registered.
For group schemes?
Yeah.
So we don't have any group schemes currently operating, but through this work we're hoping to encourage people to join. Auckland Council's kind of leading the way, and so they're waiting for a staff change at the moment, and then they'll be getting their one kicked off. Hopefully that's later this year too. And then Waikato Regional Council's taken the next step and said, well, we'd like to look further as well, so that work will be done within this financial year. Did you want to add to that, Shelley?
I just wanted to possibly clarify for some people. So any nursery or producer can join the Plant Pass scheme. It is voluntary, and it's all about biosecurity risk management practices, as Danielle mentioned. So separately from the nurseries and the producers, the Plant Pass partners, so MPI, DOC, obviously regional and unitary councils have all had conversations with me, and commercial entities as well, like SBS Biota, are Plant Pass partners, and they're the people and the organisations who are the buyers, the funders, or the influencers of nursery arrangements. So we encourage people or organisations to join that network because there is no cost to joining, but we are in that process of having conversations on how do we encourage and support uptake of the Plant Pass certification across Aotearoa, with the view to strengthening biosecurity across the country.
still on head as well? Because I don't think all in this first scheme.
Sort of, it came into discussion, yeah.
Wonderful, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dean.
Afternoon tea.
Yeah.